What's good, what's good, what's good, what's good, what's good? I'm back. It's officially the midway point of the season. You saw the title, you saw the thumbnail. Let's get straight into the video.
Let's go.
I just want to start off by saying some of these I think are somewhat of a given, but some of them are just my personal opinion. I think you can go either way. I'm going to give who I think should win every award, and then I'm going to give who I think will have second and third place like they do at the NBA awards. So this first one is one of the ones that I think is a given. I think it's no questions asked, and that's Rookie of the Year. My Rookie of the Year, like everybody else's, will be LaMelo Ball. He's averaging 15 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 6 assists per game, shooting 44% from the field and 37% from three. Not only that, but he leads all rookies in points, rebounds, assists, and steals going into the All-Star play. I mean, he's just running away with this award. The best rookie by far. My runner-ups for this award would be Tyrese Halliburton and Emmanuel Quickly in second and third place. So next, this is another runaway. Just wanted to get the two runaways out of the way first. And next would be Sixth Man of the Year, and I would give that to Jordan Clarkson. Now, Jordan Clarkson is averaging basically 18 points per game on 55% true shooting from the field and 96.7% from the line. Jordan Clarkson has one job with his team: come off the bench and get buckets. At some games in the season, he's been this team's best player. As the Jazz system, they really spread the ball around a lot. I think that's when they're at their best, but it's not a lot of ball stopping, and they can move it around perfectly. And he just found his role on the floor. It's good. He's a Laker legend. He's my boy. I'm so glad to see him playing like this. And the Jazz really got him for a steal. They traded like Dante Exum, the second round pick, but I don't even think they imagined to get this level of production from Jordan Clarkson. So I think Sixth Man of the Year is another runaway. My runner-ups for this award would be Terrence Ross, and this is a biased pick. I didn't really know who to put third, but I think Montrezl Harrell is having another efficient, great season off the bench for the Lakers. So Sixth Man of the Year, Jordan Clarkson. Now, Coach of the Year, this is another one which is up for the debate. But I have Quinn Snyder of the Utah Jazz. Quinn Snyder has led his team to the #1 seed in the entire league, as everyone should know. Right now, they rank 4th in offensive and defensive rating, and as a team shoot 39.8% from three. So as an entire team, they basically shoot 40% from three. He's fully embraced how the modern NBA is played, fully embraced how to get regular season wins in the modern NBA, and he just has the roster to do it. And I want to say they have about 5 players that are shooting from 37 to above 48% from the three. I know Joe Ingles is shooting about 45% from three. Bogdanovich is shooting it well. Like I said before, Jordan Clarkson is shooting it well, around 37%. Donovan Mitchell is shooting it well. They just have a lot of shooters on that team. Royce O'Neal is shooting it well. They have a lot of shooters on that team, and they play a perfect 4-out, 1-in offense with Rudy Gobert man in the paint, getting boards, setting screens. And yeah, it's an easy way to get wins when you have players that buy into that system and know how to play in that system. So they shoot about 42 3-point attempts per game, and last year they shot 35 attempts per game. So Quinn Snyder's scheme has basically been, yo, if you got it, shoot it. And it's really been working for them. I mean, it was games when I was watching, especially when they played us and they beat the brakes off of us. It was like they just didn't miss. So our runners up for this would be Doc Rivers from the Philadelphia 76ers and Monty Williams of the Phoenix Suns. I love the way Monty Williams has coached that young Suns team. We saw last year in the bubble, he had that team playing the best basketball that they've had in years, and it just carried over to this season with the addition of Chris Paul. And Doc Rivers just has the 76ers playing amazing basketball as well. As their first in the Eastern Conference, been first in the entire season. Not giving it up to Brooklyn yet. Brooklyn's on their tail, but every time Brooklyn gets a win, Philadelphia gets a win. And this has just been a great change of scenery from going from Brent Brown to Doc Rivers. So those would be my two runners up. It would be great to see a brother win it. I wouldn't be mad if either of them win it, but my pick would just be Dan Snyder for the time being. Now, my executive of the year would be Daryl Morey. Going back on that Philadelphia 76ers having the best record in the Eastern Conference, they just built a very solid roster. And this all started with Daryl Morey. When he came in, he got rid of that terrible Al Horford contract that Elton Brand gave Al Horford for I still don't know why. Got rid of that Al Horford contract to bring in Danny Green and Terrence Ferguson, and then he turned Josh Richardson into Seth Curry, given that Sixers starting lineup the shooting that they needed to put beside Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And these are just some of the moves that Daryl Morey has done. He drafted Tyrese Maxey as well, and just gave this Sixers team an identity that they didn't have last season. So runner-ups would be Sean Marks of the Brooklyn Nets, just simply for the James Harden trade. Bringing in a star to play alongside other stars is never a bad thing, and they really needed James Harden in this stretch that they have to play without KD. So it's looking like a really smart move in retrospect. And then my second runner-up would be Rob Pelinka of the Los Angeles Lakers. All right, next we have Most Improved Player. My winner for this award would be Jeremy Grant. Don't want to spend too much time on this one, but Jeremy Grant literally doubled his points per game from 12 last season to 23 this season. He's become the #1 option on the Detroit Pistons. And long story short, he just bet on himself and it paid off. He got the same contract offer from Denver, but he wanted to play for a black coach, a black owner, and ultimately have a bigger role. And it's really been paying off for him, so you love to see that. And my runner-ups would be Christian Wood and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai is maybe a biased pick, but not really. He's really turned it up this season as opposed to last, having to share the ball with Chris Paul and Dennis Schroeder. Now he has sole control of the offense and has really been flourishing in that role. I talked about him in my All-Star video. And then Christian Wood, I think this is really a two-man race though between Christian Wood and Jeremy Grant. The Christian Woods just missed too much time as of right now for him to be the winner, but I think when he comes back, and if he comes back and plays on the same level that he was in playing for before he got injured, then I think this would be a really good two-man race between Christian Wood and Jeremy Grant. Now let's get into the two most competitive awards, right? First, we have Defensive Player of the Year. This is one of the ones where I say this might be more of a personal pick, but my Defensive Player of the Year would be Ben Simmons. Now, Ben Simmons is averaging 1.6 steals. He leads the league in deflections and loose ball recovered. He's 11th in defensive plus minus, and over the last week of the season, before the season started for the All-Star break, he had a defensive rating of 14, which is higher than Rudy Gobert's of 11.3. The Sixers are also 5th in defensive rating, but most of what makes Ben Simmons my Defensive Player of the Year is much more than the stats. Ben Simmons is just the most versatile defender in the league. He can guard literally 1 through 5 with a 6'10" frame, but his speed and lateral quickness allows him to guard your best point guard and your best big man. Ben Simmons is just a matchup nightmare. I mean, he's caused problems for the best players in the league this season. Just recently, he's held Damian Lillard to 28% shooting in the game. He held Donovan Mitchell to 35% shooting in the game, and he held Luka Doncic to only 13 shots, where he shot 6 of 13. He's just a defensive powerhouse, can guard literally every position, and I think he's the most versatile defender in the league. And so my runner-ups would be, like I said, mentioned before, Rudy Gobert. And Rudy Gobert definitely has the stats to be a front runner over Ben Simmons, which is why I'm not mad at anybody that would put him as the Defensive Player of the Year right now, as he's 2nd in rebounds, 2nd in blocks, 2nd in defensive rating, 1st in defensive win shares, and 9th in defensive plus minus. Then my third runner-up would be Miles Turner. He's the league leader in blocks at 3.4, I believe it is. But he just doesn't do enough for his team to really be the Defensive Player of the Year. Pacers still are really bad in defense, and he just doesn't have the numbers outside of the blocks to really back up his case. And so now, for the most interesting, most important, and most valuable award, the MVP. Now this year's MVP race has been insane, has been insanely competitive, and the league in general is just insanely competitive now. As if you want a sample size of how crazy the league has gotten, as of right now, there are currently 10 players that are averaging over 26 points per game. There are 14 players averaging over 25 points per game, and there are 38 players averaging over 20 points per game. Now, if you want to take that into consideration with past years, in 2012, 12 players in the NBA averaged over 20 points per game. Now they're 38. That's absolutely insane. So it's an insane amount of players that are putting up MVP numbers, but of course there can only be one MVP, right? My pick for MVP as of this point in the season would be Joel Embiid. Now, Joel Embiid is averaging 30 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, shooting 52% from the field, 41% from three, and 85% from the free throw line. If I had one word to describe how well Joel Embiid has been this season, that one word would just be dominant. He's been absolutely dominant on both sides of the ball, has led the Philadelphia 76ers to the best record in the East, like I said before, and he's just improved his game in every aspect. His passing out of double teams has gotten way better. His playmaking has gotten way better. Just reading what the defenses are doing to him and how to counter that has gotten insanely better. He's gotten way more efficient from the mid-range and three-point line. As I mentioned before, he's shooting 41% from three. And he's also become a master at drawing fouls, and he's shooting elite free throw percentage. So Joel Embiid has just been on a tear this season, has been playing insanely well. Every night it just seems like he's putting his Sixers team on his back, carrying them to victories. And like I said before, every time the Brooklyn Nets look like they're creeping up on him, they get a win to keep that sole possession of the first seed in the Eastern Conference. So my runners-up, in second place, I will have LeBron James. I don't really got to talk too much about LeBron. He's still putting up LeBron numbers at 25, 8, and 8. I know he was the favorite. I believe a couple of weeks ago, he's still maybe some people's favorite. But I think that 4-game losing streak that we went on really hurt his case. Without AD, really would have been a time for him to really jump up in that MVP ladder. And without having Dennis Schroeder, was really hard on him. He had to do everything on the offensive side of the ball. And for a 36-year-old, that's not an easy thing to ask. So I still have him second. And third, I have Nikola Jokic. He's really in third simply for team success, even though he's brought him up to 6 in the Western Conference. But yeah, he's averaging 27 points, 11 rebounds, 8.6 assists, shooting 56% from the field, 42% from three, and 88.1% from the line. That's almost 50, 40, 90 from a 7-footer that's averaging almost 9 assists per game. That's absolutely insane. So yeah, bro, the MVP race is insane. I think this is the most interesting MVP race since probably like 2017. You know, in the past couple of years, we knew Giannis was going to win it. And the years that Steph won it, we knew Steph was going to win it. But this year, it's really up in the air. But I just have Joel Embiid as the slight front runner at this point in the season. Some other honorable mentions would be Damian Lillard, who has that Blazers team at 5th seed in the Western Conference. Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's still putting up Giannis MVP numbers, but really voter fatigue is factored into it. They're not going to vote Giannis for a third straight MVP, even though he's putting up MVP numbers. James Harden, who's really been putting on a show with that Brooklyn Nets team while KD's been out. Stephen Curry, who's still putting up similar numbers to his unanimous MVP season. And you can't forget about Luka Doncic, who's still averaging about his 29, 9, and 9, and just bumped out the Warriors and Stephen Curry for that 8th seed in the Western Conference. So this season has just been insane. These awards really just prove to you how crazy the league has gotten. And I'm really excited to see what happens in the second half of the season, see what happens with the standings at the end of the season. Yeah, watch some G League basketball, bro. The G League the boys are really hooping. My boy Jalen Green got bumped out and Kevin Porter Jr. got called up. So those are the two interesting people to me. But yeah, watch some G League basketball, bro. Them boys is hooping. March Madness is coming up. I'm gonna probably do a bracket video, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, until then, I'll see y'all when I see y'all.